This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
I wasn't a state champion or anything like that. I won a couple of regional tournaments, which would have put me in the state tournament, but I got hurt my junior year practicing actually before the state tournament actually went down. So it did a lot for my confidence. It did a lot for me as a human being, and more so starting at about 8 years old, just kind of backtracking a little bit. The thing that was always in the back of my mind, no matter what else I did, I wanted to be a professional wrestler. I don't know what age you became a avid fan, but obviously you are, as I am. Did it start for you that early?
I think I was 7.
I told this story before. Bob Moss, who was my best friend and is still my good friend, and I just recently saw in Rome, and I would call him. Now, this is 8 years old, and say, "You got to come down here. You got to come see this. Hurry, hurry, hurry." Well, waiting for him up on the couch by the door that came into our house was me in my underwear with a face mask toboggan and a shoestring down in my underwear. So as he came in, I jumped off the couch, wrapped the shoestring around his throat, and was trying to choke him out with a mask on, 8 years old. That's nuts, ain't it?
So let's talk about that, I guess. I know we're bouncing all over the place, but I like talking about young Arn. Who were your sort of big stars that you were seeing that you were trying to emulate as a little kid across all the sports? But we'll start with wrestling.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was Georgia Championship Wrestling. It was 605. That's the big show that got me started a little bit later. But early on, the first wrestling show that I remember seeing was out of Chattanooga. Ed Capral was the announcer, and I think it would have had to have been Nick Goulas's product. That's the one that first caught my eye. Then as I got a little bit older, as a teenager, I started to see guys like Dick Slater, Bob Orton Jr. wrestling too, some of those guys. And Rocky Johnson, he was the first guy that I saw that had a physique like, God almighty, I want to look like that. But my heroes were Dick Slater, Bob Orton Jr. Just because I began to, as a teenager, you look through different eyes, and I started to see those guys were the ones causing all the excitement. It wasn't necessarily Tommy Rich and Wrestling 2 and those guys. Slater and Orton were the guys making things happen, and it was, wow. It took on a new meaning for me.
How old were you when you realized it was the heels?
Probably 16, 17, somewhere in there.
A lot of people listening to this can relate to this. They had a grandfather or a grandmother who were really into wrestling. Were either of your grandparents into it?
I think my grandfather would watch a little bit of it, but to be honest with you, he worked so hard. What I remember most about him, and it's clear as a bell, he had one of these 9-band big radios when they first came out. What I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He would cut hair all day. He was a barber, cut hair probably from 6 to 6, come home, eat a little dinner, go work his garden for an hour, and then he would come in and listen to the Braves. And more so than watching wrestling, I was the only one watching wrestling. My granny wouldn't have dreamed, of watching it. It was kind of, I had the TV all to myself, and he would listen to the Braves on the radio and fall asleep in his chair. And I was kind of sit there and just by myself, just sit there and fantasize about being a wrestler.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money, it's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.